As I always say, continue to subscribe, support the channel, hit the like button, share this content with someone who needs to hear it as we continue. Now we're going to discuss how investors are, starting to invest outside the United States. They're looking at other opportunities internationally and how that is now playing out across the board. And let me just say before we get started that, earlier this year, I did, made some adjustments to my 401k, my allocations, and how I contribute to my 401k. The money is now being spread a little bit into international stocks, international markets. International markets actually outperformed the United States market for the year 2025. And there are some opportunities outside the United States, specific opportunities, not a broad opportunity, but specific areas, specific industries are doing really well. So we have this report from CNBC that basically states that investors are looking at other opportunities outside the United States to invest in.
International equities outpaced U.S. equities in 2025, reversing the U.S. market's long-standing dominance. The S&P 500 returned nearly 18%, whereas developed international markets gained 32%, and emerging markets posted 34%. And it looks like this trend will continue to 2026 and beyond. Investors are taking note and have increased their exposure to global markets. I'm a markets and investing reporter for CNBC, and I've been following trends in both domestic and global markets.
So let's take a look at this chart real quick. Let's take a look at this chart where she states the percentages for 2025, right? Now, sure, pro US investors, and again, I'm not against US investment. Obviously, the majority of my investment is within the United States, but the numbers show that in year 2025, there was a significant, and I'll repeat, a significant difference when it comes to how much you made if you invest in the S&P 500 versus some of the other international opportunities out there. And as you can see, we got an 18% rate for the returns for United States S&P 500, which again is great. It's a great return. 18% is a really, really good return. You also see the differences when it comes to the 32%, as well as the emerging markets of the 34%. That gave you a significant, we're almost talking about double the profits in some of these international plays. So this is also, again, something important to look at as the other nations around the world continue to build up their infrastructures, their technology, their AI plays, India, Japan, China, etc. Their stock markets, their markets will continue to grow and possibly outpace the United States in the near future.
34%. And it looks like this trend will continue to 2026 and beyond. Investors are taking note and have increased their exposure to global markets. I'm a markets and investing reporter for CNBC, and I've been following trends in both domestic and global markets. In this video, I break down the key reasons many investors are looking beyond the US market. Even though the US market remains the world's largest, investors are increasingly looking to global markets to diversify their portfolios as fiscal and geopolitical risks rise in the US.
I have been having a lot of conversations with investors that are trying to understand how to diversify their concentration out of US markets, particularly US private markets as well. And we've been seeing trends in that direction.
There's also the concentration risk. Exposure to the US also means outsized exposure to AI, with the Magnificent Seven companies alone accounting for roughly 1/3 of the market cap weighted S&P 500.
I am short the US and I'm long, global markets. The US is struggling a little bit with the fact that we've gone from these very competitive large companies or asset light to now asset heavy. And people aren't sure what the returns on capital are going to be in the future. You see sectors and companies every day significant adjustments because people are afraid of what the future holds. So that uncertainty, I think, is going to play more on the U.S. than it is globally.
Investors are also fearful that Sell America might gather steam, especially as the Trump administration continues to run up fiscal deficits, exacerbate relations with trading partners, and cast doubt on the Federal Reserve's independence.
Sell America is weaker dollar, it's weaker US stocks, it's higher US interest rates, and it's stronger international currencies and stocks. And we saw a pretty significant period of Sell America last year around the time the Liberation Day tariffs were announced. And since then, it hasn't had serious legs. And is there fear that that's going to continue to unravel? Not really that I see necessarily. I think, again, it's probably at the margin caused people to start to look elsewhere for other ideas.
There's also the continued weakening of the US dollar. In 2025, it fell more than 9% and is expected to weaken further. This trend could be motivating investors to buy more international stocks. For example, when the dollar declines, overseas profits are worth more once converted into US dollars, and that boosts returns.
So let's stop it real quick, right? Let's talk about Sell America. All right, what is Sell America? It is a growing trend of global investors divesting from US dollar dominant assets, specifically government bonds, which are treasuries, right? Due to concerns over the US debt deficit, the deficit of the United States, inflation fears, and policy uncertainty, right? So as early as this 2026, our national debt is up to $38 trillion. 38 trillion. And it's reported that the possibility is the United States debt will reach over 50 trillion over the next decade. What we know is that's unsustainable. We cannot be in debt of over 30 plus 40 plus 50 trillion dollars and think that at some point there is going to be a moment where something happens and it will cause significant damage when it comes to the United States stock market. It's inevitable. The continued prop up of the market, if that's the Fed putting money into the market, if that's manipulation when it comes to news, etc., like the reports, the job reports, the inflation reports, I don't know. But what I do know is what's unsustainable is the debt number for the United States across the board, right? So you have people that are starting to take the money out of the treasuries, of the bonds, which then causes a weaker dollar, which then helps the international markets when it comes to their investments if people invest into those countries, right? So this is something that we need to pay attention to. Again, this is all about investing. This is all about making money for yourself and for your family, your children long term. This is definitely something that we need to take a look at and take seriously.
Last year was a great year for emerging markets because of the weakness in the dollar and because of lower interest rates here. And they think that's going to continue into 2026.
The weaker dollar, the bearish dollar trade, I think is here to stay. And I think that is because we're at a very pro-cyclical phase in the cycle. When we look at growth trends in the rest of the world, a Fed that is on hold in our view. So I think weaker dollar, upside risks that we are still seeing on the growth forecasts around the world, not just in the US.
With global markets continuing to outpace the US this year, and some forecasts calling for years of international outperformance, investors are watching closely to see what it could mean next for US stocks.
I don't see anything taking down the US public markets and the liquidity and the depth of the US markets overnight. But I do think many global investors are thinking about how to diversify their concentration out of the US and where and how to make really long-term bets in other markets that maybe are not dollar denominated as well.
Now let's not get it twisted, right? The United States still has arguably the best, maybe 7 to 10. Like you probably cannot find I'm trying to think off the top of my head. It's hard for you to find 7 to 10 companies outside the United States that is better than the companies that we have within the United States, right? So, we know that the most weighted stocks in the market is obviously United States weighted, and some of these companies, obviously like Microsoft, Nvidia, even companies like Eli Lilly, um, Walmart, Amazon, et cetera. As we continue to go down the list, a lot of these companies are United States based businesses, right? They still do business internationally, of course, but they are very much a United States, great stock, great business, and they will do extremely well as the businesses continue to prosper and flourish. Right. The other side of the conversation is that if you look at the S&P as a whole, it's 500 companies, right? So out of those 500 companies, how many of them can handle an economic slowdown or a recession or a call to the carpet moment when the United States has to either pay their debt or stop spending as much money as they need to spend, they've been spending? That's the question. If you don't have a lot of companies that are really, really good running businesses that can operate in a less a higher interest rate environment, or an environment in which spending isn't at an extremely high level, then that's where the crash comes, and that's where the significant issues come when it comes to the United States stock market as a whole. So if you are looking at opportunities outside of the United States, this is a good time to do so. Some of your long-term 401k, Roth IRAs, the different retirement accounts that you do have, you're looking long-term, 20, 30 years out, it is a good opportunity. At least put 10 to 20% into international markets. I don't see an issue with that at all. I actually have done that with my 401k and will continue to do that until I see a significant change in the stock market, in which I would then put the majority of the money back into the U.S. stock market.